Hey, I'm Abe, and today we're going to be talking about asset classes, which are basic large categories of options for you to consider when picking what to invest in. I've mentioned asset classes in previous videos, most recently in Wednesday's video where we're talking about liquidity, because a lot of these asset class options have varying levels of liquidity, or how quickly you can access them in cash or turn them into cash without very much compromising their value. And I also talked about them when we were talking about diversification when trying to set up your portfolio for retirement or whatever investing goals you might have. I'm going to jump in really quick here, remind you to subscribe, hit the notifications bell if you want to see more of what I'm doing here. And I'm posting Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, so I appreciate your support. But getting right back into asset classes, there are four core asset classes that most people are aware of, and they have similar levels of liquidity to them. So the first one is cash, and it may seem silly to think about this as an asset class, but if you keep some of your money, and there's a debate to be had about what percentage of your overall amount you should be keeping in cash, but cash is an option. Cash only holds its value as well as inflation allows it to. So it's not really going to grow in value over time, but it's going to not lose value very much either, at least by comparison to investing in a company and having that company go out of business. Other than cash, you've got equities, which are basically stocks, and that also, under that large umbrella, is also included mutual funds and exchange traded funds, collections of stocks and companies that we've talked about. Thirdly, we've got fixed income investment vehicles or bonds. These are debt vehicles where you're getting just a steady and continuous amount of payment out of them in the form of, with bonds anyway, coupon payments. And then lastly, you've got commodities. And commodities are, we haven't talked a lot about commodities, but you can buy and sell commodities on the market, or mutual funds or exchange traded funds that buy and sell commodities. Things like gold, oil, beef, natural gas. And generally speaking, commodities are tradable or interchangeable items where one person's gold is the same as another person's gold, and the same can be said for oil or natural gas and so on. These four items, as you buy and sell them in your investment accounts, in your brokerage accounts, you can sell and have access to that value in cash pretty quickly because there is an active market for these things. When you get into, say, artwork or coin collections or real estate, being able to, and those are other asset class options as an example, but when you invest in those, being able to translate those directly into cash in a short period of time, and we're talking like within a day, maybe two, maybe within a week, it's just very difficult. Now, you can go down to the local pawn shop and unload your guitar collection for a steep discount on what they're actually worth, but if you're using it as a way of growing wealth, this is not something that you probably want to do. So the four core asset classes to be aware of, like I said, cash, equities, or stock. You've got fixed income investments or bonds, and commodities. And these are just things to be aware of. And you will probably be able to find mutual funds and exchange traded funds that track each of these things. And they themselves are a larger umbrella of investment options, right? So there are equities that are U.S. or American equities. There are European. There's just purely emerging markets, no matter where they are in the world. There's purely Asian emerging markets. I mean, you can get down into as much detail as you want. So these are the options. And when people talk about diversification, diversifying across asset classes is one of the things that they're talking about. And in doing so, you can gain a greater return over time in a much safer way than you otherwise would be able to. I've heard it said, and I forget where the quote came from, but that diversification is essentially finance's only free lunch. That by diversifying in these ways, you can actually increase the amount that you're getting out of it. So like I said in Wednesday's video, I'm going to be getting a little bit more into personal investing, maybe in a week or two. Before I do that, I want to step into unemployment and the eligibility, how much you might expect to make from it. Talk a little bit about current events and the coronavirus and how it's impacting unemployment. And talk a little bit at length about a lot of the safety nets that are available for you if you find yourself in trouble, if you find yourself outside of a job, or in an emergency situation. So we're going to go through those, but to go back to personal investing, it would be really great if in the comments, as you're thinking about what you want to invest in, if you would drop a comment with 3 to 5 investment options that you personally are considering. Give a little bit of your rationale. I'll grab those and we can make a video series where we walk through at least how I look at those investment options as potential choices. We'll do some critical analysis. If you disagree or you have a different way of looking at those picks, then it would be a great way to have an open conversation and think about out loud so that everybody can see the reasoning that goes into it, how people make these decisions, and how I might decide that, this may be a better investment than this one in my own way of looking at things, but that somebody else may have a different way, and that both maybe are just as good. And we can just have that conversation together. So I'm pretty excited about this concept. My wife suggested it yesterday, and I'm just going to start adding it as a request in a lot of these personal investing videos. And hit me up with what you're thinking about, and we will talk about it. So for now, this is asset classes that are important to understand in the world of diversifying your overall investment portfolio and the options that you have at a high level of investment choices. So thank you for watching. Thanks for being here. If you like what I'm doing, go ahead and subscribe, share me with your friends, hit me up with what questions you have, and we can learn all of these things together. And I will see you in the next video.